George Carlin said, think of how stupid the average person is, and realize half of them are stupider than that. What real-life example have you seen that validates this view? There is a considerable overlap between the intelligence of the smartest bears and the dumbest tourists. Minus Yosemite Park Ranger on why it's hard to design a bear-proof garbage can. I worked at a bank. Mobile depositing had just became a thing. We received a picture of Summy owns cash for deposit. Yay. A woman I used to work with who insisted that any animal could reproduce with any other animal. She believed that sperm from any animal was the same and that DNA was irrelevant. She believed this because she once saw some sickly, possibly deformed puppies and decided that they must have been half dog and half rat. The fact Florida had to tell people not to shoot at the hurricane. One of my nieces had a cold as a toddler and was breathing through her mouth. My ex-Bill flipped out because he didn't want her to get carbon monoxide poisoning from breathing through her mouth instead of her nose, the normal way. On 9/11 the general manager called his daughter who was attending us up to wake her up and make sure she saw what was going on. The customer service manager said, "It won't be on her TV yet. Arizona is 2 hours behind us." I teach 6th grade. One time a parent came to me after trying to help their child with math homework and asked, "What number is X worth? It feels like it changes with every problem." I worked at Little Caesars and we were proofing the dough for pizza. My boss said, at 7 p.m., that the dough needed to rise 4 hours, and took out her calculator to do the math. So I said, that's gonna be 7 am. Then she said the dough will expire in 48 hours and started doing the math again. I told her it would expire 2 days from now, and she said that's kinda weird how that works out, huh? I quit shortly after that. Just scroll down a webpage or Facebook feed and have a look at the ads. Things like only 2% can solve this puzzle sheet like that. Those ads get posted so much because they actually work on a lot of people. I'm an insurance claims adjuster. If you truly knew how many stupid drivers you're sharing the road with, you'd never drive again. Edit because I keep getting this question. I avoid driving whenever possible. I have a car, but I take the bus to / from work. I never drive at night. In grade 10, we had a science test, and the teacher gave 1 point for putting a date on the paper, and 1 point for your name on the paper, and then there were 98 points for the rest of the test. A guy sitting in front of me got 05/100, didn't write the date and only wrote his first name. In the ATS, R&W attempted to compete with McDonald's Quarter Pounder burger by selling a Third Pounder for the same price. The operation failed tremendously, with virtually no one buying the burger. When they surveyed customers for an explanation, the majority of customers responded that they didn't want to pay the same price for less meat. Their customers genuinely believed that 1/3 was less than 1/4 and refused to try the new R&W burger because of it. And #XB. Edit. Obligatory fuck everyone who says, "Rip my inbox. I hate that sheet." At the start of working from home due to COVID, I had a few users submit tickets for connectivity issues. These tickets got through to lines of support before landing in my queue. Turns out that the corporate Wi-Fi doesn't follow you home and you need home internet in order to connect to the VPN. The woman that called into a radio station to complain about the deer crossing signs on a highway, saying that the deer will see the sign and consider this place a safe place to cross the road. https://www.youtube.com/watch v equals rkfjlibri. https://www.youtube.com/watch v equals rkfjlibri. Infantryman was told to trim the hedges, so he lifted the lawnmower. His buddy started it. As a brand new medic, I spent about 6 hours pulling finger meat from the hedges. Edit. Thanks for the award. Update. Sorry, I'm a Reddit and on a phone. For clarification, It was early 2004 after OIF 1 in the 82nd. I was a PFC with only a year and a half in service. We bandaged him, then used tourniquet, temporarily. Senior medics took him to the I was field sanitation qualified, so I was left in charge of cleanup. Ours was excessive, but after we pulled most the meat and bone out, we had to hose down the hedges, the ground, the grass he bled in, the ground forward/floor outside and inside where he left a decent amount of blood had to be rinsed and sterilized. The mower had to be rinsed and cleaned. It had some damage from the drop. The private that started the mower had to be smoked by his NCO. We finished in about 4 hours of actual work with 2 hours of fucking off mixed in, 'cause the sham shield is the real deal. Knew a kid who drank bleach to prove it wouldn't kill you. A week later he showed up at school after taking a shot. He said he proved his point. When the teacher asked why he was bragging about it, Mr. Hawk just said, "But you cannot argue that without that medical treatment you'd have died, though minus you even said you have stomach damage and a burned esophagus yourself." This kid was bragging about that. He was not mentally disabled or otherwise. He was just that kind of idiot. Edit. Thank you all. I'd have thought my most upvoted comment would be about some kid I knew drinking literal bleach. Rip my inbox. Was at a party and Sumion's shitty old truck got stuck in some mud, so instead of sobering up and coming back the next day, he makes a Molotov cocktail with gas and throws it at the truck. The truck caught fire and was completely destroyed. Myself. Looking for my phone when it was in my hand all the time, then answering a call, and continuing looking for it during the call. Edit. Thanks for the award, and damn, using glasses must suck sometimes. When I was in high school, we were reading a short story about what would have happened if the Japanese attacked us back with nuclear weapons after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. A girl in my class raised her hand and said something along the lines of, "Why does this matter? None of it is real anyway." The teacher had to ask her to clarify, but this girl thought we and the bombing of Japan were just from a movie and didn't actually happen. The best part is, the girl was half Japanese. Edit. Wow, thank you for all of the upvotes. I have a ton more stories about this girl, so maybe I'll post some on a different subreddit soon. I once got into an argument with someone over my own name. There are two pronunciations, German and English, and they just couldn't accept the fact that I use the English pronunciation despite the fact that we were speaking English and it's what I've used my whole life. But no, I was lying to mess with them. A former coworker was talking about how she wanted to go back to school to get her master's degree because she only had a bachelorette degree and wanted more job opportunities. I said, "Do you mean a bachelor's degree?" She insisted it was pronounced bachelorette when it was given to a woman. Then she led me back to her office and pointed at her diploma, to the word baccalaureate, and said, "See, bachelorette. You know the reason you bury a rattlesnake after you kill it is because bees will eat it. Then bees can sting people with rattlesnake venom." Minus guy I heard constantly trying to pick up women on public transit. The people who believe 5G is responsible for spreading the virus. Seriously, I don't understand how electromagnetic signals could possibly distribute a biologically impactful virus. Seriously, there's a new low every month /year. That people act surprised at the total death count going up. It's always going to go up. If it was going down, that's an entirely different pandemic altogether. People that cut holes in their masks, because it's easier to breathe. I worked with a lady who was remarking on how a friend of hers had lost a bunch of weight. She pondered, "I wonder how many Diet Cokes she had to drink to do that." Edit. Same lady was convinced beyond repair that when you sneeze, the air only comes out of your nose. There was no convincing her otherwise. The flat earther that tried to launch himself into fucking space and died. Every time I put on my glasses so I can see better while looking for my glasses. I once offered a girl a tuna sandwich, and made a comment about the tuna being dolphin friendly. She then said, I thought tuna fish came from dolphins. On the Man Show they set up a booth on some pier, I think Santa Monica, and were getting women to sign up to end women's suffrage. Tons of women were signing. Obviously, being the Man Show, this was a joke on women, but the reality is the amount of people in general who do not know suffrage is the right to vote and not some sort of suffering is far too high. Customers arguing that their tattoo is backwards while their artist tries to explain that no, your tattoo is fine, it just looks backwards because that's how mirrors work. American voters were surveyed as to which they liked better, Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act, ACA. The ACA had drastically higher support. They are the same fucking thing. I was doing a COVID decon of a medical supply warehouse that had a confirmed positive employee not too long ago, and while my team was inside doing our thing, the floor forward/shift manager was following us around without a mask or gloves or really any of the proper except for a high-vis vest and steel-toe boots. I had to tell her to leave the room. I was fogging with Verucide. Edit. Meanwhile, we were wearing full-level C hazmat suits with P100 combo cartridge respirators and all seemed taped up. About half the calls I take on a daily basis. People call 911 to ask whether Walmart is open, to report that they didn't get enough mayo on their burger, to complain that cleanup at a fatality wreck is taking too long. All sorts of silly, out-of-touch shit. Granted, there is probably some level of mental illness and / or substance abuse present in those calls. But still. Subscribe, like and comment if you hate outros, begging you to subscribe, like and comment.